Hey guys, Daniel Master 87 here, and in this video I'm going to talk a little bit about Clown, because his Pinky Finger and Flask of Bleach nerf have been announced. I've been playing with those a lot. As you can see, I've used all of my Pinky Fingers, and I'm attempting to use all of my Flasks of Bleach, and I've come to a few conclusions about this killer. Obviously, Clown is known for being a very weak killer, even though some people say, oh, just one buff and he'll be S tier, or something stupid like that. I really disagree with that sentiment. I think he needs a lot of buffs to be in a good place. Number one, his slowdown from hitting people with the gas from his bottles just isn't enough. I am playing Clown with Flask of Bleach, which is supposed to give them an additional 5% hindered penalty. I don't know what the base hindered penalty is, but an additional 5%. I'm assuming they need movement speed, which is obviously huge when you're talking about percents of movement speed in this game. Survivors just seem to keep running. Like, this is barely slowing them down at all. And another thing is his invigorated speed isn't enough. You throw two of them across a map or whatever, it still takes you well over 10 seconds to get from one side to another, like literally heading in a straight line to where your destination is. And compared to Blight and some of those other faster killers, that's just pitiful. Now, he has a few things going for him, like he can slow down multiple people at once. There's very few uses for that, but it gives some sort of benefit to you, like you can't stop people from unhooking, so you throw the bottle and they both get slowed down. Obviously, you can only go after one of them unless they unhook with no BT and you get to slug, but every other scenario where they do have BT, you're going to have to pick and choose, and so being able to slow down multiple people in that scenario or other scenarios just really isn't that great, because you're only going to be able to chase one of them, which you have to commit to downing that person as well. You can't just hit a healthy person and then not commit to them, because they'll just run away and heal with Boone Circle of Healing, which they most likely have in play. He can interrupt actions with his bottle, like if they're working on a gen and you hit them directly with the bottle, they'll stop working on it. If they're unhooking and you hit them directly with it, they'll stop the unhook animation and they'll have to reset. But really, I think in those instances, the survivors just handed that to you. They could sit on a side from the gen that's facing away from you, not making it easy. They can run behind the survivor so they can't be hit directly with the bottle while they're unhooking. There's just so many things where that can't even come into play, and it's one of the few upsides he has with his ability. Because as you know, even Pinhead's ability can't stop people mid-action, even when he hits them with it. Now, I'm gonna be honest, I haven't played with a lot of his add-ons. I mean, I've probably played with maybe all of these at least once in the past or whatever. The decreased reload speed, the movement speed when reloading, seeing survivors' auras, increased invigoration duration, more bottles, bigger gas size, all that good stuff. But honestly, I don't even need to play with those add-ons to see what the clear winners are here. What are his best add-ons? I'd say it's Flask of Bleach and Fingerless Parade Gloves. I think both of these could be made base kit. And you could argue that Pinky Finger's his best add-on. At this point, it's like, unless you're running fingerless parade gloves, you're almost never gonna hit that bottle directly on the survivors when they're moving in a confusing way, which they can easily do, which many survivors just choose not to and call the add-on OP and get it nerfed, like we're having happen now. So after the Pinky Finger nerf, I'll still say that these two add-ons are definitely his best. Flask of Bleach, it's pretty much the only add-on that gives an increased hindered penalty to the survivors and makes them move extra slow on top of being slowed already. Now there was another add-on that I think increased the duration of them being slowed down. I might be mistaken. But basically, Flask of Bleach, if you want to slow down the survivors extra, you use this add-on. The reason I'm putting so much stock in this other add-on, Fingerless Parade Gloves, is because there's no other add-on that Clown has that increases the actual bottle throw speed. You know how you charge up the Clown bottle and you let go and it flies, but it's like, and then it hits its target. With this add-on, the bottle flies much faster, which is going to give you those direct hits with the bottle a lot more consistently, which is why I ran this add-on with Pinky Finger, and when I ran out of them, I ran it with Flask of Bleach. And there actually are benefits to hitting a survivor directly with the bottle without using Pinky Finger. I believe it's maybe not more slowdown, but more distortion on their screen with the gas. But another effect this add-on has is it decreases the bottle throw angle by 15 degrees. It takes some getting used to. Like, when you first start out, you're going to be throwing it like too close to the ground in front of you when you wanted to throw it further, and then basically it like increases the extremes of your bottle throws. Like, if you throw it just straight forward, it's going to have a low arc and it's going to hit the ground sooner. If you aim high, it's going to go way further through the air than your bottles would normally ever be able to be going. Because the default throw arc is kind of problematic. When I switched off of this add-on, I noticed that the arc was kind of sucky. Like, it traveled a certain distance, but it was slow, and it didn't go far enough, despite it being like a high arc. It's weird to explain, but if you played with this add-on and played without it, you know what I'm talking about. So yeah, these two add-ons will be his best, and if I don't get to use up all of my flasks of bleach before it's nerfed, I'm still going to be using these two add-ons together because they're his best. I think even with the buffs to Solvent Jug and Robin Feather, and maybe there was one other that I can't recall right now, I'm still going to be using these two add-ons. I'll definitely test these, but these are my go-to add-ons right now. Something I'll mention about this iridescent add-on, or ultra rare, or whatever you want to call it. This add-on is not worth being a pink add-on. It's just not. This effect, being able to see survivors who are intoxicated or invigorated for 6 seconds, that is worthy of a purple add-on at best. Like, it's almost weaker than Wraith's All-Seeing Blood. Like, you can see their auras from a distance or whatever if they get invigorated for some reason or intoxicated from that much of a distance, but I think the small instances of you having wall hacks on the survivors around a loot isn't gonna improve your game that much, especially considering this is a pink add-on, which is supposed to be like the best of the best for the killer. And something I'll say about the yellow bottles, I feel that the devs didn't even understand what they were doing when they invented the yellow bottles. If you go to the initial video of the devs, I forget who it was one or two of them maybe, but they were talking about the yellow bottle in such a weird way, because we all thought it was weird that there was a delay on the yellow gas becoming yellow and giving you the speed up, which has led to many scenarios where instead of just holding forward, you'd have to lag behind by a second or just half a second just to get the speed up from your yellow bottles. I still think it's wrong that the survivors are able to get a speed up from your own freaking power. Like, that's the dumbest thing in this game, I almost want to say. That should totally not be a thing. But the way the devs intended it to be used was just so weird. And when they explain it, you can tell, like, they're in a completely different state of mind than us, because they're like, well, instead of just being boring or basic or whatever with Clown and just throwing your purple bottles at the survivors to slow them down and then hit them before they get to a loop, then you can throw yellow bottles that the survivors will want to run into, so that instead of going to a strong loop and getting slowed down by the purple bottle but making it to the loop anyway, then you throw the yellow bottle out into a dead zone, which incentivizes the survivor to run into an unfavorable position. And it's like, that's the most ridiculous freaking thing I've ever heard them say. Like, why would I want my power to speed up the survivors? That doesn't make any sense. I would just throw the purple bottle at them if they're in a dead zone, not make them speed up. It just makes no sense at all. I'm not gonna lie, when the yellow bottles first did come out, I was very doubtful at their usability. I just thought, this is gonna be a joke aspect of his power. I mean, you can even speed up the survivors accidentally when you use it, and it just makes you go a little bit faster. But I've recently been awakened to the fact that increasing your movement speed by even 1% is pretty strong as killer. So I definitely use it now, and I think it's a pretty important part of his power. But there's still a lot of clowns out there who act just like they did when yellows were first introduced, where all they use is the purple bottle and nothing else. And it's a weird thing to explain, like, is it worth it to use both your purple and your yellow bottles around a loop to catch up to a survivor in time? It's very case by case. Like, sometimes you'll be at a loop where it's like the only way you can get a survivor is hitting them with the purple and also being sped up by your yellow. But you only got one chance to get them, because if you can't hit them with that combo the first time around, if you can't get that hit on them, then they're gonna reach your yellow bottles speed up, they're gonna get the speed boost, and then the chase is almost in a reset type of situation because you didn't get them at that time, and you're 2 bottles, 3 bottles, maybe even 4 bottles short, and you didn't hit them, which is pretty sad. Which is probably the final point I'm gonna make about Clown and how weak he is. Because yeah, at smaller loops you don't even need the yellow, or you might need just the yellow or just the purple to hit the survivors, because it's a weak pallet loop or whatever. You probably could have hit the survivors even without your power. But most of the time, what I've been experiencing is when I go against actual decent survivors and not just babies, it's like playing against them with Pinhead or Death Slinger or some other killer where you are constantly, repeatedly, consistently hitting the survivors with your power, and they're just not going down because they keep making it to windows and pallets and stuff regardless. Like, I literally had games tonight where I hit a survivor no less than like 6 or 8 times with my purple bottle to slow them down, and that's how much it took just to get the down on them, to get a hit on them, really. And I think that's the thing that proves the most that Clown's slow down, which is his whole power, just isn't enough. That's all I've got to say for this video. This is Daniel Master 87 signing out.